Okay, who's next? Yeah, please.
Mr. Trump, I have a question.
Excuse me, sit down. You weren't called. Sit down.
No.
Sit down.
No, I'm
Sit down.
an immigrant.
Go ahead.
I have the right to ask.
No, you don't. You haven't been called.
I have the right to ask the question.
Go back to Univision. Go ahead.
You cannot deport 11 million.
Go ahead.
You cannot deport 11 million people. You cannot build a 1900 wall. You cannot deny citizenship to children.
Sit down, please.
Ideas.
You weren't called.
I'm a reporter and don't touch me, sir. Don't touch me,
Go.
sir. You cannot touch me. I have the right to ask a question.
Now, Donald Trump eventually let Jorge Ramos back into the room in the presser and allowed him to ask a question, which ultimately led to even more sparring.
Here's what we're going to do. Ready? Okay.
Are you going to bring the army?
No. Let me tell you. We're going to do it in a very humane fashion. Believe me, I have a bigger heart than you do. The one thing we're going to start with immediately are the gangs and the real bad ones. And you do agree there are some bad ones. Do you agree with that, or do you think everyone's just perfect? No. I'd ask you a question. Do you agree with that? We have tremendous crime. We have tremendous problems. I can't deal with this.
All right, here now with reaction, author of a brand new New York Times #1 bestseller. Now for the last 3 weeks, Plunder and Deceit, Big Government's Exploitation of Young People in the Future. I call him the Great One, Mark Levin. You know, a couple of things. Jorge Ramos is an advocate. He's not a journalist, as he claims. He's not a reporter, as he claims. He doesn't have a right to ask a question and disrupt a press conference the way he did. Donald Trump graciously allowed him to have this exchange with him, and Donald Trump mopped the floor with him. At least that was my perception. What's yours?
Well, your perception's exactly right. I was very proud of what Donald Trump did. Jorge Ramos is a bully, and Jorge Ramos tries to control events. Jorge Ramos jumped the line there. It wasn't his turn to ask questions, and he would have been able to ask questions. But look, Ramos is a fanatic. He's obnoxious. He's a pretend journalist. He's running around today saying that he's defending the First Amendment. Really? Since when are hecklers defending the First Amendment? He's got an agenda, and he advances it. You know, Sean, I did a little checking. About 3 years ago, he was named one of the 100 biggest leaders or movers by Time magazine, and he wrote about himself, and he said, among other things, "But I've never ceased to be Mexican. I have 2 passports, and I vote in elections in both countries. I'm deeply proud of this privileged duality. The best thing about America is its embrace of diversity." No, the best thing about America is America, Mr. Ramos. Now, America's immigration system isn't the problem. Mexico's immigration system is the problem. Latin America's immigration system is the problem. Their governments are the problem. Why are they exporting their next generation into America, Mr. Ramos? And you're proud of your duality and your diversity. Why is it that you're not spending time in Mexico? Have you ever read their immigration laws? Have you ever read its constitution? If the United States of America took Mexico's immigration laws and stamped America's immigration laws on it, then you would see oppression and repression and disaster and calamity. Mr. Ramos is taking advantage of this country, and I notice not in any of his questions to Donald Trump did he ask about the effects of illegal immigration on American citizens. They never call our children dreamers. Mr. Ramos is a balkanizer. He's a racialist. He's gotten very rich doing it. But he has nothing to do with, as far as I'm concerned, what's good going forward for this country.
You know, you keep watching this Trump phenomenon, Mark, and in this instance, I thought he showed that he was tough. He stood his ground. He made intelligent arguments. He was patient. And at the end of the day, he came out on top. Is there something some other candidates can learn from Trump and his aggressiveness and his no-holds-barred style?
Absolutely. Talk like a regular person. Americans like it. That's number one. Number two, use common sense. He's got a lot of it. Number three, don't allow people to abuse you and smear you and project their agenda onto you. That was Trump's press conference. That was not Mr. Ramos's press conference. The American people want to see somebody fight back. We've been kicked around too long. That's why Lindsey Graham is going nowhere. Lindsey Graham is a weasel, in my humble opinion. He's out there attacking Trump. He doesn't address these front groups that are pushing their agenda. He doesn't talk about Obama the way he talks about Trump. I'm not endorsing anybody, as you well know. But the fact of the matter is, I like the way this guy talks.
You know,